Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the Invincible Iron Man issue 593. And that's pretty cool that we've gone back to the original numbering, so we're getting close to 600. That's going to be pretty cool. So, I really enjoyed this issue because it did a good job of kind of setting up what we're kind of be going through in this next kind of arc. Because we start off and we see Tony in his kind of like capsule thing that he's in at the moment, bearded and all that, and we see someone touch it. But that's all we see, that it's in the New Jersey facility and all that, and then we get Friday kind of giving us the lowdown of where we're at the moment. So, of course, then we get into it, and you see Tony's mom, Amanda, has initiated a Stark Expo, and they're talking about all this stuff, how she's pretty much going to make the winner of the expo whoever can, like, wake Tony up. And, of course, she's, like, getting the crowd all riled up. We see all this cool kind of stuff with, like, the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, and everything. It's like, alright, and they got a really nice, decent crowd. So, of course, she's, like, talking about how at this point they'd usually bring out Tony in his armor, but, of course, we got another person, and they bring out Ironheart. And Riri's kind of like, wow, they're kind of cheering for me. And, ironically enough, Tony AI is kind of like, don't let it go to your head. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of good to have her, like, grounded and everything, but it's good to have her kind of, like, recognized at the moment by, like, people being like, it almost would have been weird if they'd done it and nobody in the crowd really was like, I don't know who you are, really. I mean, you just come into the scene, but it was kind of cool to be like, hey, we got a new armored person. Okay, they've not really been that much of a dick so far, so, okay. And, of course, as this is going on, we see Mary Jane Watson kind of, like, doing her stuff in the back, and, of course, the board member, Mr. Lynch, comes up, and everyone's like, wow, this is pretty impressive what you pulled off and everything. It's like, yeah, and kind of, like, making remarks about her being a model. I'm like, well, she would probably be one of the best suited to kind of understand what would go into this stuff, since she was, like, backstage, understand what needs to go on, who they need to talk to, and setting up this kind of thing. And he pretty much lays down that, like, Mary Jane and Amanda and pretty much Friday are screwed out because they've been voted, the board has voted to take control of the company again. And it's like, yeah, granted, Tony doesn't make the best decisions and sometimes sinks companies, but usually he does pretty good within the business realm. So, I don't know why you would think you would do better, but go for it. Let's see how that works, because Friday knows what she's doing. And Mary Jane Watson knows what she's doing, and so far we've seen that Amanda knows what she's doing. So we'll see how that goes and what they're going to have to deal with that. It's like, of course, before they can really kind of like deal with that, they find out that there's been an emergency at the New Jersey facility. It's like, what the hell? So, of course, before we get all into that, we then get into Rikers, because there's been a giant superhero breakout. Doom had evidently brought in a lot of, like, super villains, like more than any other hero had done before, and the guards and the former S.H.I.E.L.D. people and the Warner like talking about it, and this only happened because since S.H.I.E.L.D. been disbanded, they didn't have the capacity to deal with this level of threat. And of course, Doom comes in, and it took me a little bit to figure out what was going on, because he was asking them to, like, give him who had escaped, access to the files and all that. And I saw that his speech bubbles turned different, and I'm like, oh, he put a spell on them to make them hug each other, because I'm like, at first when I was reading it, I'm like, why are they hugging themselves? And I'm like, oh, okay. So of course, he's still trying to, like, figure out the situation, and I also really liked what they did with this, was that they shifted art styles. And I liked what was going on with, like, the main Riri Williams kind of part, but I also liked this as well for Doom, and when they brought in, of course, the Thing. And he's, like, pretty much there, and is pretty much acting like, I'm going to take you out, Doom. And Doom's like, listen, my life's at risk. They're going to be coming after me first, so you don't have to do anything. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gone. You're not obligated to come after me. And, of course, the Thing's pretty much going at him like, listen, nobody is going to believe that you're good. Nobody's going to forgive and forget. You could become the flavor of the month, but just remember, you had every chance to be Reed Richards, and you blew it. And I'm like, damn, because that's some harsh stuff. And instead of acting like Doom and just like, well, putting a spell on him to be a dick pretty much, or like starting to take him out, Doom just disappears. And then the Thing's kind of surprised by this. He's like, I wouldn't think he would do that. And of course the guard and everybody like stopped hugging. They're like, that was kind of weird. And seeing the Thing kind of ruminate on that, like, he could be changing. And I'm like, wow. Because the Thing's view on that, like, of course, Doom has a history of making bad decisions. But you need to give people the chance to make different decisions. Otherwise, they're just going to feel like they need to continue those patterns and are forced into those patterns. Doom's actively trying to make a change. Now, granted, we don't know his exact end game, but I think it's kind of cool to see him trying to right the wrongs that he has done. So, of course, that's kind of where we're ended with Doom. We then get to Amanda, MJ, Riri, and Friday kind of dealing with the disappearance of Tony Stark. Because they're like, we don't know what happened. Kidnapped, talking about all the kind of things that could have went wrong. Friday having, like, essentially dog-chipped Tony. And they're like, you can't censor him. It's like, no. Here's the thing. If he died, I would have still been getting signals that he wouldn't have the vitals. That he would be dead. And they're like, that's kind of morbid. So, something either took them out or shut them off. And they're just kind of going through what to do. It's like, I've already contacted all of his friends. And then we see all these heroes fighting all these villains and everything, and that they're kind of busy at the moment. And of course, Friday brings up the option of calling Doom in. And everybody's like, that sounds like a horrible idea. And it's like, normally it would. But Tony and Doom have a kind of relationship kind of similar to, well, not exactly the Reed Richards and Dr. Doom dynamic, but it's a kind of mutual, one's been dealing with like armor and mystic arts. Well, they both have in certain respects. And of course they kind of overlap and sometimes be on the opposite sides and have to fight. Sometimes are kind of reluctant allies. So yes, even though it sounds like, hey, I need to call Dr. Doom to help me find this hero, it's not outside the realm of the possibility. Though it will be interesting to see these people who usually have the preconception that, like, I would not want to call Doom if my life depended on it, have to deal with Doom, especially Riri, like, I kind of became queen of Latveria for a little bit. I wonder how he would take that, you know? So it's like, okay, they have to work together, kind of a buddy cop thing to kind of find Tony Stark. That is going to be pretty interesting. So then we get to the end of the issue and we see something very interesting. Now, we see this guy come out of this kind of chamber and he's naked, has no hair, no facial hair, nothing. And then he's like very unsteady, kind of uncoordinated, and then pulls on a set of, not Tony's original armor that he built in the cave, but the one that he's most known for, and kind of in the fetal position. Now, this can open up some possibilities. This could be Tony, like he had activated a protocol that he's back to normal, and this is how he gets back to normal. I think that it could potentially be that something could have happened like this. This is a theory that I think could work, is that AI Tony has decided that he needs to become active in the real world more. And that he somehow took Tony to get him off the board as a potential impediment to himself, and could have either potentially taken over Tony's body or created his own organic body out of like cloning or whatnot, and that is AI Tony in a physical body in the Iron Man suit. But that's one thing that could potentially happen. I don't know. And then, of course, they've got Riri and Dr. Doom have to find the real Tony to kind of like shut this down. So there's a lot of cool possibilities that could happen with this, and I'm really interested to see what's going on with this guy in this suit of armor. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.